Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Dominic Hamilton of Metropolitan Touring, and we're here in Ecuador, in Quito, overlooking the main square. And I'm about to begin a journey to Galapagos and Ecuador, and you're going to learn all about that from, you're going to tell me what I'm going to do, right? That's right.
I can try. You've got quite a packed trip, James, one way and another. You've got here in Quito as you're starting your base, and then you're off to the Galapagos Islands, then you're down into the cloud forest. You're really going to move around a lot over the next 10 days.
Well, you're going to hear all about that and more in this video, and you'll find it all on Insider Travel Report. Now, Dominic, first of all, where are we now?
We're in the heart of Quito, the capital of Ecuador. Although you wouldn't know it, we're about 2,800 meters above sea level, which is way over 10,000 feet. So normally pilots need oxygen in order to fly at this at these altitudes. So if you feel a bit breathless, that's quite normal on the first day. But we're in the heart of this amazing city right in the Andes, in what's called the Avenue of the Volcanoes. We have this amazing line of volcanoes here, and Quito, as we can see around us here, we're kind of cupped by the Andes all around us, and we're in the heart of the Old Town, this UNESCO World Heritage Site, Old Town.
Yeah, and then we're overlooking a square, and the hotel we're in is what?
The hotel is called Casa Gangotena, so it's one of the hotels that belongs to the Metropolitan Touring Group, and it's a beautifully restored 31-room hotel here with right views. You're right in the thick of it here in the old town of Quito.
Now tell us a little bit about the history of Metropolitan Touring. I've known the company for a while, but I never experienced their product, so this is a very first for me. But tell us about the company.
Well, our history dates back nearly 70 years now, so it goes back to the 50s, and it was set up by Ecuadorians initially for trips for Ecuadorians to go abroad, and then they began in the 60s to realize what a beautiful country they had, and we really should show that country to foreigners. And so they were really pioneers, and definitely pioneers in the Galapagos Islands in terms of organized tourism and the kind of the way you're going to experience Galapagos, which will be aboard a boat where you stay overnight. Right. And going down onto the islands. Metropolitan Touring, along with Lindblad, were really pioneers in that kind of tourism, and have worked ever since on this kind of expedition tourism, a very experiential way of visiting this country. We're very proud to be continued today with 3 boats in the Galapagos Islands, a hotel called the Finch Bay, this hotel, Casa Gangotena in Quito, and an amazing lodge in the cloud forest northwest of here called Mashpi Lodge.
Yeah, we're set to do that. Now, I've already experienced something. Today we went out to see, we are in Ecuador, which is actually from the equator. We're in the middle of the earth. We're actually, it's a little dark right now. It's getting a little dark. It's about 6 o'clock, a little after 6. But, you know, in New York, this would be pitch dark. And really, this is the same. You always have the same lighting and time zone and pretty much the weather all year round, right?
Yeah, that's right. We're a great destination because we're year round. There's no particular seasons. People say what's the best time to visit, and you just say any time of the year because it doesn't really change much. Here in Quito, the Quiteños call summer the 3 months when it rains a bit less. Okay. Over what is our summer in the northern hemisphere. But otherwise, that's summer. But in terms of temperature, it's completely even. And yeah, I can look up at the sky and tell you what time it is any time of the year because it's always the same.
It is amazing. And you know, thinking about how I'm the cold north, and here we are in beautiful Quito, and we're heading to the Galapagos tomorrow. But we've already experienced something. We were on the equator, because you are in the equator, and there's several sites where you can actually straddle the equator. Yep. There's actually a couple. I think there's a little debate of where the actual site. There's a wonderful monument, and then there's another one. But they're both amazing experiences, and you actually tour both, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It would be one of the things that people would want to kind of tick off their list when they come to Ecuador. There's a fascinating kind of pre-Columbian history, of Aboriginal history, of what, you know, people building sites, observatories. They were definitely aware of where they were in relation to the sun and the stars. And then you have the kind of modern from the 18th century, you have a French mission that comes to measure the shape of the Earth, and that's all tied up with the equator.
Well, even Quito itself is sort of Middle Earth, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're right in the thick of it, as you want to put it that way, and we're very high, so it's one of the reasons Ecuador is such a mega biodiverse country is because we combine what are the thick of the tropics. So here right on the equator we've got a lot of UV, a lot of sun, and then you combine that with the Andes, so you have all these altitudinal levels, and life kind of thrives in those niches all the way on both sides of the Andes. And so that's one of the reasons why, despite it being a very small country, we're by size, we're the most biodiverse country in the world.
And I've heard that for a while because I met a lot of Ecuadorians coming up to like the U.S. Tour Operators Association for a few years. They hosted the lunch, and I got to go to Ecuador, and I never did. Actually, my partner Alan Fine, who will be editing this video, had been here last year, so he enjoyed it. But now let's talk a little bit about what's to come. So tomorrow I'm getting up really early to take the flight out to Galapagos, and talk a little bit about what I'm going to experience there.
Well, you're going to experience an amazing set of islands that were the inspiration for the 3-year revolution from Charles Darwin.
In fact, we're going to, at the end of it, we're seeing the Darwin Center, right?
Yeah, you will be on your itinerary, sure. And it's just a bewitching place. Is the Spanish word for the Galapagos originally are the enchanted islands, and it sounds like enchanted as in magical, but it's actually quite bewitching because it's volcanic, it's quite strange, and what you find there are these quite strange creatures that are mainly reptiles. So you've got these unique species like the
giant tortoises and things like
that have evolved, there into different species on different islands, and you have marine iguanas that only exist there. So you're going to come face to face with a strange, bewitching kind of landscape, and then these creatures that only live there. And then the most amazing thing about the animals that you'll encounter is they have no fear of man. Mm-hmm. So they have no inbred kind of fear of run away, I'm going to be someone's dinner. They just kind of sit there, and that's a stunning and amazing feeling that there are very few places in the world, I think, where you can...
There are a lot of birds, too. We're going to see tons of special birds that are only there, too, right?
You will, yeah. I mean, and the most special is being the flightless cormorant, which has kind of evolved into more like a penguin, really. It's kind of on its way to being a penguin because it doesn't fly anymore. Okay. But it used to be. So we're going to see that. And then the albatross as well, this time of year, might have flown. But that's an amazing bird to see, the waved albatross you see in Galapagos. And then there are islands with just hundreds and tens of thousands of birds that you can enjoy there.
And of course, the way we're doing this is you have your 3 yachts, and I believe we're on Isabella, which is coming up, and they look beautiful from there. I mean, we'll certainly see that. Talk a little bit about that, and then we end up in a hotel. And let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, there are different ways of exploring the Galapagos Islands, and people always, ask, well, what's the best way? And the answer is it depends on your taste. It depends how old you are. If you're traveling with small children, you might not want to be on a boat. You might want to be in a hotel. But we've kind of been doing this a long time, so we've been over 60 years operating in the Galapagos, and the company has owned smaller boats, it's owned day tours boats, so I think we've really kind of perfected the art of expedition cruising in the Galapagos. So it's small, the largest boats in the Galapagos are 100 passengers. That's it. That's the most you can get. It's all about the nature and the islands and the place you're in being the protagonist, and we're very proud of the fact that we have on board all our 3 boats expedition leaders, who are really the ones who are obviously the captain's important. We also have doctors on board that are important. The barman's obviously really important, but the expedition leader really is the one who is telling the captain, this is what we're going to do this morning, this is how we're going to do it. If we see dolphins, the captain stops the boat, we get onto the dinghies, let's go and chase the dolphins. So the expedition leader is there to ensure that everybody gets the best and most enriching experiences they can. So I think that's something that we're always very proud of, and we can do it through various activities. So you can be hiking on some of the islands. You'll see we've also got kayaks, we've got stand-up paddles, boards as well for having fun with those. There's quite a bit of snorkeling that you can do, and for people who don't enjoy the snorkeling, we have a glass bottom boat. So we've got an array of kind of activities that people can enjoy, and different physical abilities, and the small groups. The Galapagos has always been about small groups, so 16 is the maximum the national park will allow, but our ratio is more like 11 passengers per guide, which is really the kind of in-depth kind of explanations and interpreting that guides should be doing there.
Now, but then we end with 2 nights in your hotel out there. What's the hotel's name again? I'm sorry.
The name is the Finch Bay.
The Finch Bay.
So it's on the largest the largest population is in a port called Puerto Ayora, and the Finch Bay is just across the water from the town. So you kind of have the benefits of being around the town and being the logistics of it, but you're actually separated where there aren't any cars. It's really quiet. It's the only beachfront hotel.
Not a hot spot with lots of bars and nightclubs, right?
No. I mean, lots of iguanas.
I don't know if
lots of iguanas and sea lions.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe if I can, maybe they dance. Who knows? Or drink. We'll see what happens.
But dance quite a bit.
Now, then we're coming back here, and we're actually going to explore some more of Quito, because we're going to actually some of these. You see our cathedral behind us, and there's a lovely one down there. So we're spending a day in Quito. But then I believe we're going out to this other property you mentioned, Mashpi Lodge. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Mashpi is an amazing place because it's part of a natural reserve, a private reserve that was bought up over 15 years ago now and has been expanded ever since. And we're a carbon neutral company as Metropolitan Touring, so all of our operations and our offices and everything that you do with us, James, is all carbon neutral. And where we offset our carbon, or your carbon in this case, where you'll see the forest that you're protecting when you go to Mashpi.
That's the cloud forest.
Cloud forest, yeah. So part of these amazing ecosystems that we have in Ecuador, there's cloud forest, so it's not as low as rainforest, it's not as hot, and it's between the Andes and this rainforest is this cloud forest, which is really kind of a water machine. It's an amazing, the water, the humidity kind of comes up the mountains and it condenses and becomes clouds. So that's what you're seeing when you're there. It's a beautiful forest, hugely biodiverse, and we have a very small 24 room hotel, which is built out of glass and steel, which doesn't look quite
very
right.
modern. Yeah,
very modern, very strikingly contemporary, but it kind of creates this amazing cocoon. So you can be, the idea is you're out in the forest, you've got Wellington boots on all day, you've got your rain poncho, you can swim in the waterfalls, etc. Get muddy, get out there, meet these amazing creatures. You're with really good guides. You can glide across the forest on a cable car we have called the Dragonfly. You can go up an observation tower, but at the end of that you come into this cocoon, you leave your muddy boots at the door, you get changed, and then you're kind of sealed off from the creepy crawlies, sealed off from the forest, and not everybody wants inside there.
Have a nice meal, and that's it. And then, so we're up there for, I think, a night or two, and then we're actually back at this wonderful hotel before we sadly have to leave, which is going to be almost 2 weeks. So you're going to see a lot of this over the next few days. We're going to be doing a lot of videos. I'll be doing some. We'll be interviewing some more of your colleagues, I believe. And it's going to be an amazing experience for those of you like me who didn't quite understand what the Galapagos were. It's one of those, yes, I want to go there, but what am I going to get there? What exactly is going to happen? So we're going to show you. We're going to show you, and then you'll see all about Ecuador itself, which is such an amazing destination. Yeah. Well, listen, I want to thank you for taking the time and explaining what we're going to see, and I'm looking forward to this trip very much. I have been for a while, even amid all the pandemic and everything else. We got down here, yes, did we have to test a lot? Yeah, we tested back in the U.S. We tested down here for Galapagos. We'll test, of course, when we go home. So far so good. I hope nothing else happens, but we're looking forward to this very much. And again, thank you so much.
Good to have you with us, James.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.